What's up guys, hope you're having a good day. In today's video we're going to be discussing whether or not Rony Barcelos is a good bet this weekend in his fight against Umar Nurmagomedov. Now let's be brutally honest, even though Nurmagomedov is an amazing fighter, a super strong grappler, very well rounded, we've got to be realistic and accept that the odds on this matchup are extremely wide. I don't care if you're Nurmagomedov's mother. I don't care if you're his biggest fan. I don't even care if you're Nurmagomedov and you've got more faith in yourself than anyone else on earth possibly could have. Betting on anyone in mixed martial arts in this odds range is extremely dangerous, and it's very, very difficult to make a profit betting on fighters in this odds range over the long term, because MMA is a very chaotic sport. If we take a look at Nurmagomedov's odds, which are currently around about 1.14, which is minus 714 for an implied probability of 88%, we can see that you'd have to give Nurmagomedov a better than 88% chance of winning in order to get any value here. And with how crazy of a sport MMA is, it's very difficult to do that. Even if you do think Nurmagomedov is a lot better than Barcelos in all areas, and that's certainly something that we're going to delve into and explore in this video, it still makes it difficult to bet on Nurmagomedov because there are still so many ways in which he can lose. We know Barcelos has got power in his hands. Maybe he catches Nurmagomedov with a big shot and knocks him out. Maybe Nurmagomedov gets injured in the fight, right? We've seen plenty of injuries over the last year. Maybe he throws a leg kick and, blows his knee out. Maybe pops a rib, maybe breaks his hand throwing a punch. Maybe Barcelos catches him with something crazy, cuts him bad, and the doctor stops it. Maybe Nurmagomedov makes a mistake and gets disqualified. Maybe he fights injured and loses, like we've seen so many guys do over the last couple of years. Maybe he has a bad weight cut, which has a significant impact on his ability to perform to his full potential. So even if Nurmagomedov is better than Barcelos in every single aspect of MMA, there are still so many ways that an MMA fighter can lose, which makes it very difficult to cap them in this odds range. I don't care if Thanos is fighting Roxanne Modafferi, still very, very difficult to make money betting on fights in this odds range over the long term. So for me, when I look at a fight like this, the favourite is completely off the table, and what I'm looking at is whether or not I can find value on the underdog, and if I can find, a strong enough foundation for Barcelos to build off to go on to give him, a chance of winning this fight that helps me find value in his odds. Because if we look at his current odds, which are around an average of say 6.30, which is plus 530 for an implied probability of 16%, we can see that in a sport as chaotic as MMA, it is far easier to find value in someone who, the implied probability in the odds is only given a 16% chance of winning over someone that has, an 88% implied probability of winning. So we're really going to be focusing on Barcelos' chances of winning in this fight, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Barcelos is worth a gamble this weekend? It's certainly going to be a high risk gamble. Nurmagomedov's no picnic. He's an extremely tough opponent. He's undefeated, pretty good everywhere. But let me know in the comments what you think below, and if you like these daily breakdown videos, hit the like button to let me know that you like them. Do you like the old format where I would break down the entire main card in one video, or do you like these individual breakdowns? Let me know in the comments below, and hit the like button to let me know if you really like these daily ones instead. Don't forget, I do drop a new video to my YouTube channel every single day, breaking down a new fight every single day. Check out the link in the description below to find more breakdown videos for other fights on this card. If you want to watch breakdown videos for all the other matchups I haven't recorded and uploaded to YouTube yet, head on over to my website, MMABettingTips.com, where you can find breakdown videos for every single fight on this card. Before we get into talking about Barcelos versus Nurmagomedov, though, I want to give you guys a quick update on the main event of this weekend's card between Imavov and Strickland, because in the breakdown video that I put out a couple of days ago for the Imavov-Strickland fight, a big part of that breakdown talked about how tough of a fight it was likely to be if Imavov or if Strickland came into that matchup with a grappling heavy game plan, and we were saying, it's pretty unlikely Strickland will grapple, because if he would have grappled against Pereira and Cannonier, he would have stood a much better chance of winning than just trying to stand and strike with superior kickboxers. And in both those fights, Strickland was very reluctant to grapple. So why would we expect him to do anything different this weekend in the main event against Imavov? But in this interview with the Schmo, Strickland actually mentioned, gave us some clues as to what his game plan may be for his fight against Imavov. And let's listen to what he says straight from the horse's mouth.
Fight him,
Yeah.
So maybe after, but now it's on,
How does he get his hand raised Saturday evening?
The way he always does, like being annoying as fuck.
Jab. Nah.
Fucking just like,
Be a fucking man, bro. You say be a fucking man. Last fight, you guys.
What's really funny there is when Schmo asked them how Strickland wins this weekend, Strickland kind of made fun of himself in a little way by saying that his plan to win was basically just staying behind the jab, which is of course something that we spoke a lot in our breakdown video for this fight, where we were saying, one of Strickland's biggest issues is that he's very one-dimensional. He just kind of comes forward, blocking punches with his face, pressuring guys and trying to chip away at them from behind the jab. But that style of striking is probably a little bit too basic to cause someone like Imavov, who's a very high-level striker, a problem. So here you can see Strickland's kind of making fun of himself and alluding to the fact that he also knows that this probably is not going to be enough for him to get his hand raised on Saturday night, and so he needs to do something different. So just listen to what he says, about other tactics and strategies he may employ.
I was a jab warrior. You gotta understand, I got knocked out by a big fucking Brazilian. But this fight,
fuck it right now. Look at this. Right?
but this fight, bro, I've been training hard. I've been eating fucking pizza. I'm gonna do the fucking man dance. You're actually gonna see this fucking punch get thrown. You might even see a fucking takedown. Maybe, if you're lucky. Maybe.
And this fight by finish?
And there we go, guys. Straight from the horse's mouth. You might even see a takedown, is what Strickland said. Now, in the breakdown video for the Strickland-Imavov fight, I did say that I was leaning towards Imavov because I do think in a 25-minute stand-up fight, Imavov is the superior striker out of the two, and as a result, Imavov very likely to win a stand-up fight. However, I also said that if Strickland came into the matchup with a grappling-heavy game plan, Imavov would be absolutely screwed. And the real problem with trying to lean confidently either side on the main event this weekend is we don't know whether Strickland's going to grapple or not. It's more than likely he won't, because he faced strikers and Alex Pereira and Jared Cannonier very recently and barely used any grappling at all in the Cannonier fight and didn't use any at all in the Pereira fight. But will he have learned from those mistakes? Will he grapple this weekend? He says there that he might. Strickland's a very tough guy to take seriously, a very tough guy to trust. But I thought I'd update you on that because it does change. It does change my confidence levels in Imavov. Because, like I say, if Strickland does grapple hard this weekend, Imavov probably screwed. But just wanted to give you guys that quick update. Now let's get back to answering the question as to whether Rony Barcelos is worth a bet this weekend. So there's a couple of things, well, actually there's a few things going on with the odds on Nurmagomedov. We've already said that his odds carry an implied probability of 88%, and I think that's for a few reasons. First reason, he's undefeated, and fighters that are undefeated are always very hyped up, and people just love momentum. They love an undefeated record, so that's kind of baked in the odds. The second thing is Nurmagomedov's really good. He's an extremely strong grappler. He's got a very good gas tank, good defensively. And unlike, some fighters that come out of, Khabib's stable at AKA, Umar Nurmagomedov's also a pretty damn good striker as well. And so that makes him that extra little bit special, because he's got the extremely high level grappling that most of Khabib's guys have got, but then he's got really good striking on top of that as well. So he's the total package. The third reason why Nurmagomedov is a big favourite into this, going into this fight, is that I think his surname carries a certain tax. I think his links to Khabib, his affiliation to Khabib, makes him even more hyped than he would be if he had no relationship to Khabib and he had this same set of skills, but he was called something else and was just, a separate individual. I think his surname comes with a bit of a tax in the odds. We've seen it with Antonina Shevchenko. When she first came into the UFC, she was a big favourite in her first few fights, because with Valentina Shevchenko, her sister, being so great, that Shevchenko tax was baked into Antonina Shevchenko's odds. And we see the same with guys that come out of Khabib's stable, and I think that's what's going on here. So I'm not saying Nurmagomedov doesn't deserve to be the favourite here. He certainly does. He's brilliant, but I think his surname, his connections to Khabib, his undefeated record are perhaps having an influence on the odds and making these odds wider than they should be. Because when you look at how these two match up from a stylistic point of view, what's really interesting about these two is that neither of them really have any weaknesses at all. They're both extremely well-rounded. A lot of the time in these breakdown videos, we discuss the major weaknesses that fighters have and how well their opponent is positioned to exploit those weaknesses. But in terms of weaknesses with these two, I mean, what can you say? When you look at Nurmagomedov, he's got a great gas tank, he trains at a great gym, he's an extremely high-level grappler, and his striking's excellent. He may not be the most dangerous offensively, he might not land the most impactful shots, but he's extremely good at reading his opponent. He's very comfortable on the feet, he's got great footwork, great movement, and because he's so good at reading his opponents, he's very good defensively. So while Nurmagomedov isn't great offensively, he's not going to blow you away, he's not going to light you up, he's not going to inflict tons of damage and hurt you on the feet, but he kind of uses his striking in reverse to defend himself on the feet and set up his grappling. So it's very difficult to actually hurt him on the feet or have much success against him on the feet because of how good he is at reading you and defending himself and getting out the way. But the same can also be said about Ronnie Barcelos. I think a big difference between these two on the feet is that they are both really good defensively. They're both very good at reading their opponents. It's difficult to have a lot of success against these two guys on the feet because of how comfortable they are striking and how technical they are. But the real difference between these two when it comes to striking is that Barcelos is far better offensively. Nurmagomedov really uses his striking in reverse to just set up his grappling, whereas Barcelos has good power in his hands, good technique, good combinations, throws a more diverse range of attacks than Nurmagomedov. I would certainly say Barcelos is a far better boxer than Nurmagomedov. For the most part, Nurmagomedov has a kicks-based style of striking, whereas Barcelos has got really good hands, and he certainly can do a lot more damage on the feet than Nurmagomedov can. So for me, I would give Barcelos the advantage here when it comes to striking. The problem is that Nurmagomedov is so elusive on the feet. His footwork and movement is so good. Even though Barcelos is the better striker out of the two, I don't think he's going to have tons of success when it comes to striking, simply because Nurmagomedov is such a difficult target to hit. He may catch him with something big, score a knockdown, hurt him bad, maybe even knocks him out, but it won't be easy. When it comes to grappling, both guys extremely high-level grapplers. Ronnie Barcelos, high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt with really good MMA wrestling, MMA grappling to go with it. And Nurmagomedov, as you can expect from someone with this surname, brilliant MMA grappler as well. Has that base in combat sambo. He's got the cardio to grapple hard for 3 rounds. Great chain wrestling, great grappling control, nasty submission game, and just an overall total nightmare to deal with. Barcelos does have pretty good takedown defense. It's not easy to hold him down, and obviously being a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, his submission defense is great. So Barcelos, I think, is going to do a pretty good job of neutralizing Nurmagomedov's grappling for the most part and defending himself on the ground. I think where this fight gets difficult for Barcelos is that with his age, with him being 35 years old, he's a lot older than Nurmagomedov. There's a 9-year age gap in this fight, and we know that statistically the younger fighter wins around 70% of the time when there's a 9-year age gap in a fight. And so with Nurmagomedov, we know he's got the gas tank to sprint hard and grapple hard for 3 rounds, no problem. With Barcelos, even though his gas tank is good and he can fight at a decent pace for 3 rounds, we know that at 35 years old, he is going to be declining a lot from fight to fight, especially in the bantamweight division where, you know, the lighter weight classes tend to see you decline earlier on in your career than the heavier weight classes. So Barcelos is old for a bantamweight, and on top of that, we did see him slow down and wear down, you know, in his fight around about this time last year when Victor Henry pushed a really high pace and forced Barcelos to work very, very hard in that matchup. And so, while I do think Nurmagomedov is likely to struggle a little bit early on, because I do think he'll struggle to take Barcelos down, I do think he'll struggle to have success on the feet. I think if Nurmagomedov just gets his grappling game going, his chain wrestling going, what you'll see is Barcelos gradually wear down as the fight wears on. At some point in this matchup, you'll see Nurmagomedov swing momentum in his favour, take over, and start to cause Barcelos a lot of problems. So if we sum this one up from a betting point of view, do I think Barcelos is worth a bet this weekend? What I will say is that I don't like to bet on fighters that don't have a clear and obvious path to victory. What I mean by that is I like to place bets where I can identify a specific weakness in a fighter that their opponent is going to be able to exploit. I can't do that here because Nurmagomedov doesn't have any weaknesses, and Barcelos isn't particularly well positioned to exploit any potential weaknesses that Nurmagomedov had, such as his striking, right? Because Nurmagomedov is so good defensively. And so, for me, I'm not interested in betting Barcelos because I know if I do bet him, irrespective of the odds, I'm going to be putting my money in a lot of danger, particularly because we know statistically the younger fighter wins 70% of the time here with the age gap this big. Having said that, if you really do want to bet this fight, if you want action, there's no doubt this is dog or pass. You'd have to be absolutely insane to bet on Nurmagomedov at these odds. So it's definitely dog or pass. You probably knew that before watching my breakdown. You know, completely common sense. But if we take a look at the props, we may find something more interesting here. In terms of the over, we've got fight goes to a decision at odds of around 1.44, which is minus 227, plus 165, 2.65. I personally feel this fight is much more likely to go the distance just because they're so tough, they're both so well-rounded, they're both so good defensively, and on top of that, I do think Nurmagomedov wins this a high percentage of the time, and he's not really a finisher in the sense that he's going to really cause high-level guys big problems. Yes, he has a lot of finishes on his record, but that tends to be against guys who weren't skilled enough to defend themselves in one area or the other. We know that Barcelos is a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so while I do think Nurmagomedov is going to be able to grind him out on the ground, I don't think it's that likely that Nurmagomedov will get a finish on the ground. So in terms of prop bets, the one that I think is probably the best one to go for, again, if you want action on this fight and you're looking to mix things up, it's got to be Nurmagomedov to win by decision. If we take a look at the odds on that, where are we? Where are we? I can't even see it. Going blind. Where is Nurmagomedov by decision? I can't even find it. It's probably right in front of my eyes. I do apologize, guys. Oh, there we go. Nurmagomedov by decision. Again, the odds are terrible, though. The odds are absolutely terrible. I don't see any value in those odds, but I do think that's the most likely way in which Nurmagomedov gets this done. So I hope you found that breakdown useful. Thank you very much for watching. If you do like this video, please hit the like button below. Leave a comment below. Will you be betting Barcelos this weekend? And don't forget, if you love these breakdown videos, head on over to my website, MMABettingTips.com, where you'll find breakdown videos like this for every single fight on this card. You can click the links in the description below to go straight to the breakdowns for all the fights on this card. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Don't forget to come back tomorrow where I'll be dropping another breakdown video. This time for the fight against Damon Jackson and Dan Ige. Nice one, guys. Take care, and I will see you all very soon.